So if I'm not as funny this go around, because that's clearly what this is all about, then it's your fault.
She's very nervous about the jokes. She wants to make sure that her jokes are on. So
I need to make sure all my jokes hit like they did last time.
To our listeners, I need you guys to go into Apple Podcasts and give us a rating, but make sure you mention that Megan's jokes were hilarious.
On point.
Hilarious in this episode. She's going to be very self-conscious about it.
Did you know this is a comedy podcast?
This is a comedy podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tea with Mon Amie. Today, I am here with Megan Autry, who is a sales director at Trish, Peng and a stylist here at Mon Amie. Welcome, Megan.
Well, thank you. Welcome, take two.
Yes, we did already do this episode, but you know, things happen.
Mic wasn't on.
I didn't turn my mic on, so. So today, Megan and I will be talking about our 10 top celebrity wedding gowns. I'm very excited for this one yet again. So Megan, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what qualifies you to speak about this.
Oh, wow. That's a deep question. Well, I mean, maybe the fact that I've been in the bridal industry, the majority part of my adult life, I would say. I've been doing this for going on, I think, like 10 years now. So it's been a very long time. I've worked in, different capacities of the industry. So I started off working at a store in my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. For those who don't know where Cincinnati is. I started off at a store there. My shout out to Bridal Formal in Reading, in the Reading Bridal District. I worked there for, I think, like 4 to 6 years. I don't know. It's been so long since I was there. And then I moved out to California and I managed a store, and then I worked on the wholesale end, and now I'm here with you.
And we're so lucky to have you.
You are so lucky to have me.
And that's a lesson about knowing your worth.
Yeah. And we're done. Thank you so much for your time.
This was the podcast. You thought we were going to rate celebrity bridal gowns? Guess what? We are the celebrities.
Yeah. So, before we get started, I do want to say, because I don't think either one of us have the late, great Princess Diana on our list. I think I omitted her from mine just because I think it's just so obvious that she has one of the greatest dresses of all time, the 30-foot train, all that taffeta. It was just absolutely stunning. Like I said, she's not on my list because it wasn't, one of my favorites, like, aesthetically. But, she has one of the greatest dresses of all time.
Yes. She's not on my list either, because this was in my opinion, and it wasn't my style, but I can recognize the fact that she has influenced so many looks. For so many designers. So Princess Diana,
we love you.
We do love you.
And yeah, as I was doing my research for this, my style definitely shows through. I would say all but 1 or 2 of my dresses have a long sleeve. So for anyone who's wondering, my wedding dress will have a long sleeve. I'm not engaged or anywhere close, but clearly this is my style.
When it comes, you're going to have a long sleeve
Absolutely.
gown. And that's that. So we're going to jump right into it at number 10. And Megan, since you're the guest,
by all means, I'll
why
go
don't
first.
you go first?
All right. So coming at number 10 for me, I have Anne Hathaway. So Anne Hathaway married Adam Schulman in an outdoor sunset ceremony, I believe in somewhere in Southern California. Oh, the Big Sur, California. It's not Southern California. And she wore this beautiful dress by Valentino. It was strapless, all tulle. Really, I love the look of all tulle. And then she did this really cool kind of tulle off the shoulder sash. The one thing I don't care too much about this dress is the ombre. So it kind of goes from like a beautiful ivory, and the end is like a Pepto-Bismol kind of pink. If it didn't have that pink at the bottom, I really do think it would have been absolutely amazing. And it looks like there is a little bit of lace in it too. It's just really delicate, really soft. And I love the long tulle veil. It's just all of that tulle is so romantic. It's so feminine. It's so elegant. I love the look of a lot of tulle. I think it's so fun, and it really fits for her outdoor ceremony.
Yes, and you know what's so funny is I love the pink.
Do you?
I think the pink is so pretty. That's what I like about it. Now, I don't think it goes with the lace on the dress.
I
I
don't think so
think
either. I think
it
it's
should
out
have
of
been one or
place.
the other. Like
I
if it was
agree.
all plain with that little bit of pink or the little appliques that are all over it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would have been plain with like the appliques and the pink would have been killer, or
Mm-hmm.
just lace with the dress the way it was would have been killer too. But
I
the
agree.
pink and the lace, I feel like it's something that was too modern for something that was really traditional. Because she
Yeah.
uses, it looks like it's just like a, like, what does it look like? Chantilly?
Yeah, it looks like it's a Chantilly lace on the bodice. And then
Yes.
it looks like it has kind of little floral appliques all throughout, and even on that tulle shawl, there are those same floral appliques. Yeah, the lace is such a traditional soft lace, and like you said, it really doesn't work with the how modern the addition of color is.
Yes.
And also, I really love that little lace headband. So what she has this kind of, it looks like, you know that like earmuff band that you wear when it's cold to cover your ears?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like that, but lace. I know that's not a very good description.
It also kind of looks like a 20s headpiece.
Yes. Okay,
Yes. It looks like a
that's much
20s
better than
headpiece.
earmuffs.
Well, I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
earmuffs might be a better visual because people know what those look like.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
but to me it really reminds me of like a 20s headband you would wear with like a
I think that might be the look she was going for. not-
yes.
Not the ski look that I'm describing.
Yes, and I think like her dress, the way her dress is done, like she's got that kind of V waistline on it, you know?
Yep.
So I think that might have been kind of her vibe with like that, how she had that off the shoulder
I would agree with
tool.
that, yeah.
That's very 20s.
Very
so
vintage inspired.
yes,
Yeah,
so that's
now
probably what she was going
the
for.
pink doesn't really make sense.
Exactly.
But I do think that overall it was a beautiful look, and like I said, I just absolutely love the tool.
Yes, I think that was
Shout out to Valentino.
beautiful. I have Kim Kardashian for my number 10. Kim Kardashian wore a Givenchy long sleeve sheath gown with some lace cutouts, a super, super, super long veil when she married Kanye West in Italy. I'm not going to attempt to say the name of the venue because it's just I'm not going to be able to do it any service. So
The venue was absolutely stunning.
stunning. It was in Italy, and I believe they did have their rehearsal dinner at the Versace Mansion, which is
They did.
crazy,
I know. Could you imagine?
amazing. So Kim, the reason I have her on my number 10 is because I feel like the dress was very bulky on top, and I think that she was trying to switch up her style because she is kind of known more so as somebody that is always in these very sexy dresses, that girl puts on pants, and it always has some level of sexiness to it. So I think she was trying to do something very elegant
Yeah.
for her wedding. However, it was really bulky on top, and then she had the cutouts and it just didn't seem like it flowed to me.
I totally agree with you. I think like kind of what to piggyback on what you were saying. You know, we've seen her in so many elegant gowns, right? She's worn these beautiful gowns to different events. I mean, how many Met Galas has she been to? You know, she's worn some of the greatest designers that, you know, we just dream over. And so I think she did want to be more covered up for her wedding because it is something that's it's a very sacred kind of, you know, it's a very sacred ceremony. So I do see what she was trying to do there. And I agree. I think the way the cutouts were placed, it's almost like too harsh of a line. It needs to be softer because it is a very soft look. And I do like the high neck on her. However, it's too heavy. Had that been more of a sheer lace, I think it would have been more on the money.
Yes,
I will say I loved her veil though. The simplicity of her veil and that blusher.
her veil was
Absolutely love it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
The blusher was floor length.
Yep.
So it was very, very dramatic.
Love the drama.
It was really awesome. Yeah, that would really be the only thing with that dress is it almost looks like a body armor on top.
That's really a really good way to put it. Yep.
It looks like a body armor on top, and then she put a belt through the center, so it was like she almost knew that it was like, or whoever designed it, Givenchy, they knew like when they did it, like the cutouts were going to be pushing it a little bit, or like the way that the top was done. So maybe they added the belt to kind of try and to break it up again.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I just don't love the top of the gown. But I think the lace, gorgeous.
Yep.
Veil, gorgeous.
And they were the first couple to do a flower wall at their wedding that you now see everywhere. I mean, we have one out in the store. Thank you, Kim and Kanye, for starting the flower wall tradition.
Yes, and she wore that wedding dress, and I can't tell you how many times I have seen that dress as a inspiration picture that brides have brought in.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't get that one quite as much.
I especially like the first couple years after that had happened, after they had gotten married. The first couple years after, I feel like that was all after the thing was done. Yeah. I feel like that's all I was getting was just pictures of Kim Kardashian's wedding dress. And I thought the same thing then that I do now about the top. I was like, do we want to do the top like that though?
Yeah.
Because otherwise I feel like the silhouette of the dress, the sheath was done so well. It was so pretty, and for somebody who's so hippie, I feel like you have problems with sheath gowns when you're hippie because they don't sit right on your curves.
With how petite she is. I mean, she's not. She's a very small person.
She's very, very small. Kim Kardashian.
Sheath dresses.
Kim Kardashian is like 5'3", 5'4", I think.
She's like 5'2" or 5'3". Yeah.
Yeah, she's really, really small, and I feel like people don't know that just because of how her body looks in pictures. But she is so, so small. So
it fit her really well.
It did fit her well.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, if there's one thing Kim Kardashian never skimps on, it's her alterations, people. Yeah. She always has her dresses just contacts? I know. I want those. I wonder, you think they'll work with my bank account, or what do we think?
I mean, I think it'll be pushing it.
Yeah, so that's why she's my number 10. It's just because of the body armor part of her dress.
Yeah, I would agree with
that I don't love. But otherwise, beautiful. I mean, come on. Italy, Kim Kardashian. It was going to be beautiful either way. Well, Megan, what is your number 9?
All right. So for my number 9, I have Karlie Kloss. So the supermodel Karlie Kloss married Josh Kushner back in 2018, and she wore a custom Dior. And what I love about this dress, once again, it has the sleeves. It's very Grace Kelly inspired. And the entire thing is lace. It's kind of hard to tell in pictures, but it's all lace. And it has the bodice of the dress is kind of a straight across neckline, and then it has that delicate chantilly that comes up over and kind of creates like a V-neck, similar to Kate Middleton's, but with a really soft lace and more boat neck style in the neck. Beautiful ball gown. Like I said, all the chantilly lace, and I love, love, love her long, simple tulle veil. This is something that you'll see that I have with pretty much all these dresses that are my favorites. I love the long veil. It's so bridal and so romantic to me, and it creates. I mean, all the pictures are beautiful. So I think a veil is very important, and it really makes the dress. And then there's a little tiny, small lace belt that really defines her waist. The one thing I don't particularly care for is how harsh the transition is from the bodice to the lace. Because that chantilly is so soft, your eye just goes to the bodice, that straight across bodice. And that might be, something that a lot of people like. For me, however, I like the transition to be a little bit softer. So maybe doing, a heavier lace or, a softer line for the bodice underneath, maybe doing a sweetheart. I just thought that was a little intense. But once again, the veil softens it.
Yes, I think you're right on the money with that one.
Yeah.
I think that transition was a little harsh. So,
And I think that the neckline is a little, I mean, I don't know her personally, obviously, but I think it's a little too sweet. Like, you know what I mean?
It's too sweet for my friend Karlie. Karlie is not sweet. Like, come on.
But I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It kind of gives.
Yes.
It gives me this like very sweet vibe.
Yes.
And I'm not saying you can't.
For our Victoria's Secret model, Karlie Kloss.
Like maybe do something a little more sexy, but kind of like what we were saying with Kim Kardashian. We've seen her in a bra. We've seen her in a bathing suit. For her wedding, she probably wanted to be, a little bit more modest.
Yes, and I think it didn't help that she for the sweetness part of it, I think it didn't help that she also carried that flower girl bouquet with her.
Oh, see, I like the small bouquets like that.
I think with the dress, it just wasn't. I think the small bouquets are best done when you have like a more boho dress.
Lily of the Valley, isn't it? The flower?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's used a lot in royal weddings. It's very, UK kind of inspired. So I see why she did it. The whole look kind of resembles that of Kate Middleton, who I will obviously be discussing in a little bit. But I get that kind of a vibe from it. I see why she used it and why she incorporated it. But I agree with you. It's not my favorite. I wish it would have used something a little bit more of a substantial bouquet.
For the dress. Now, if the dress was different, I feel like the small bouquet would have been fine.
Just the mixture of
but
all
I
of
think
it.
it's just it kind of was. You were talking about it being maybe a little too sweet, and I think that really tops it when she with the bouquet. Now she looks
sweet.
She looks very sweet, very sweet, and you're like, oh,
I love you, Carly.
How sweet.
And I'm sure you're very sweet in real life.
I'm positive.
All right, who do you have for number 9?
So my number 9 is Beyonce's first wedding dress.
Ooh, okay.
Okay,
Yes.
Beyonce's original wedding dress when she married Jay-Z. It was, so a lot of people don't know this, but her wedding dress was designed by her mother.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Actually, I did the first time we did that.
Yes.
But I'll go along and pretend like I don't.
So Beyonce had a brand or had a fashion label called Darion back in the day. Like way, way, way back in the day. Not way back, but like around like the Sean John, the Carl Connie, like that kind of time for people that may recognize those names. That was early 2000s. So she had a label called Darion. Her mom was, I believe, the head designer or maybe like the creative director of Darion. Her mom did something with Darion involving design. So her mom designed her wedding dress, and it was a strapless fit and flare gown with a tiered skirt. It was ruched everywhere. All taffeta. And it was beautiful on Beyonce because Beyonce could put on a paper bag and it would be beautiful.
Absolutely stunning.
People would be like, where can I buy one of these paper bags? But, and it was also very fitting for that time. It was very fitting for I believe it was like 2009 when she married Jay-Z.
2008, I think.
Yeah, which was, it was right on for that time. So I love the dress because it fits her. It's beautiful, and it's got a really, really great story about how her mom designed it. Now,
I love that.
What a lot of people also don't know is Beyonce hated her wedding dress. She absolutely hated it. So I will loop back to Beyonce shortly. But she's my number 9 because she wasn't happy.
Yeah, and looking at it too, like you said, she could wear absolutely anything, and she looks beautiful. But it is where the break is, and it goes where that mermaid kind of break is. It's so high, it's hugging one of her hips, but it's not fully hugging the other one. It just kind of goes down. And when you're curvy like she is, if you're gonna show off your curves, you gotta show off your curves. I feel like that needed to come down and hug her hips a little bit more, because I do think that having it hug the top of your hip and then go down, that makes you look a lot wider than you are. And not to mention taffeta is such a heavy fabric, and having all those bunches and having all those pickups can add a little bit more to your body. But like you said, that was the style in 2008. So it made sense for the time. It looks great on her. But I see why you have this as your number 8.
Yes, and you also have to keep in mind, or my number 9, you also have to keep in mind,
sorry.
No, you're fine, that we are recording.
Yeah, we are recording.
You have to keep in mind that Beyonce wore a lot of wedding dresses because she got married, she had her vow renewal. Those are the 2 really important ones, right? She also filmed some music videos in wedding dresses. Like in her Best Thing I Never Had video, she wore like a $20,000 wedding dress.
Really?
From I didn't put it on there because I personally didn't like it, but it was from like a big designer at the time. I think it's on one of our lists, the designer that was that dress. So if it comes up, I'll say something about it. But it was actually, I think it might have been $50,000 because when I was looking at like who had some of the most expensive wedding dresses of all time, she was on that list for that video. Yes.
That's crazy. Did you do more research since the last time we filmed?
No.
Recorded?
No. I just know stuff like that about Beyonce. She's the only one. Beyonce is my queen. I live for Beyonce.
I love that little tidbit.
Yes, yeah. I had forgotten to say that before because it just kind of went over me. I really didn't like the dress. I think that the dress, it was like a ball gown with like a drop waist, completely embellished and like gold embroidered. Like it was
so a little over the top.
It was a little too much, especially for our good sis Beyonce, whose just beauty is in the face and everywhere, you know?
Yeah, the more simple fabrics and the laces, I think, are really pretty on her, and we'll get to that with the next dress.
Exactly.
Next one.
Exactly. So number 8. Now we're at number 8. What do you have for number 8?
All right, I'm excited about this one. So for number 8, I have Audrey Hepburn.
Yay.
Okay, so when Audrey Hepburn married the actor and director Mel Fer in 1954, they actually got married in Switzerland. She chose a design that's become one of the most famous and probably inspired wedding dresses of all time. It was T-length, fit and flare with ball gown sleeves. It had a high neck collar and like these elbow length gloves that when you look at the pictures, you think that the gloves and the sleeve are all connected, but it's actually like 2 different pieces, which is really, really cool. And it was designed by Pierre Balmain. Did I say that correctly?
Balmain.
Pierre Balmain.
Yes.
Founder of the French house Balmain that we are aware of today because of the Kardashians.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was the perfect choice. She was 25 at the time. It's very fun. It's very flirty. I mean, that T-length dress was all the rage in the 50s. And I love the little spin on it. It does have that like kind of hint of Grace Kelly with the neckline and the buttons up the center. Mm-hmm. And I love that kind of that bishop ball gown sleeve. It's just so fun.
Yes, I feel like she helped make the T-length popular. She was 100%. Always in a T-length gown. It was very true to her brand. And that collar is so cute.
I know. I love the collar.
Perfect
so
for her.
And she was then and still is now such a style icon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no matter what she wore, it became fashion.
It did.
And she was very strategic with the things that she wore. And I think this dress, I mean, it kind of catapulted, this kind of T-length wedding dress style into, we see it again probably throughout the next decade.
Of course, yeah.
And now we're seeing it come back. I mean, a lot of the styles, I think now what I love about fashion today is you see bits and pieces from all other decades. Like you see people wearing stuff that are very 50s inspired. You see people wearing stuff that's, inspired from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Hopefully we'd never go back to the early 2000s because that was just terrible.
That was tragic. Tragic.
I just love it. So I look at this dress now and I'm like, wow, I could totally wear this today. And it's absolutely beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah, Audrey Hepburn is an iconic person.
Oh, yeah.
In so many different aspects, but her wedding dress definitely deserves to be on any and every list of greatest wedding dresses.
I couldn't agree more. And the other thing that I love too, instead of carrying a bouquet, she carried a Bible, which is something that you see, or a prayer book, I'm sorry, which is something that you see when you look back through history. A lot of brides, instead of carrying a bouquet, they opted to carry a Bible or a prayer book, which I thought is, was really interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it was super interesting. Like just all the different aspects of the gown, between the 2 pieces with the sleeves and, the prayer book and also that cute headpiece she wore with it.
And the flap crown.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was Megan.
And of course, anything with a bow on the back, I'm just sold.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you that I was hired to go tie bows at a wedding?
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you really into bows? Like,
I'm just really
as in
good
like
at
tying them? Really?
I went to a wedding and I tied all the bows.
Laurel loves bows too.
Yeah, they're great.
She thinks bows are like the best thing ever. So, I mean, they're cute. They're definitely cute.
Yeah, I love them.
So, my number 8 is Miranda Kerr. Miranda Kerr wore a long sleeve Grace Kelly inspired ball gown with a high neckline, floral appliques pretty much all over the dress. It was designed by Dior and it was created by Dior's first female artistic director.
It was.
So I have her. Oh, and she married Evan Spiegel, who is the Snapchat CEO. With this dress, this was not the Orlando Bloom wedding. So and she also got married in her backyard, which
I love that so much.
Yes.
And which really goes to show too, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
But that a lot of times brides will ask me, well, is this appropriate for the venue? Absolutely, by all means, 100%. No matter what dress you want to wear, it's going to be appropriate for the venue. You make it appropriate for the venue with the way you do your hair and the accessories that you wear. I mean, and I love that she got married in her backyard and she wore this very regal, very elegant dress for her backyard wedding. It works.
Yeah, it was very, very, very regal. And it is, of course, Grace Kelly inspired. So if that's going to give you an idea, if you can't see the picture or haven't seen the picture, it really was beautiful. Like it 100% is. The only reason she's low on my list is because the dress has a seam that goes through the front, and I don't like the seam. Mm-hmm. That's the only part of that dress I don't really like. I think the dress, the floral appliques are so cool. She wore like a headband with a tiered veil, like a really chunky headband with a tiered veil, which I think is perfect.
Yeah. And the simplicity of her hair.
The simplicity of her hair and her makeup, which Miranda Kerr has a skincare line. So she's got Cora. So
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Miranda Kerr has Cora, which is basically, it's skincare, but it's all like oils. So she has like an eye oil, like a face oil, and if you're looking for a good skincare recommendation, try Cora. It's really, really good. So
that's our ad for the podcast.
That's my sponsored by Cora.
By Cora.
I wish we were sponsored by Cora because
one day, Miranda, if you're listening,
you can catch me in Sephora buying more Cora after we're done with this. But yeah, she has Cora, so of course she's gonna have amazing skin. She needs no makeup. That girl is beautiful.
You know, I have this high on my list. I mean, because obviously. That seam on the front doesn't bother me at all. I think the headband is a bit chunky, but it's so fashion forward and works so well with her. And it works with her hair and her face shape. I don't feel like a lot of people could pull off that thick headband, especially with how high the neckline comes. I feel like it would be almost too much stuff around someone's face for most people. But because of her body type and her bone structure, it really works. She's so tall and lean, and that's why I feel like the dress fits her so well too. A lot of times when you're working with a satin material like this and you have so much covered, it can add more to you. And I think for her, it looks gorgeous, and the 3D flowers are so fun. I have her as my number 3, and I love the cathedral veil with the scattered pearls. If there's one thing that I love more than anything, it's pearl detailing. And I think on a veil, it takes a dress and like a very classic dress and makes it really modern and fun. So I always recommend my brides do a pearl scattered veil if they have that kind of personality too. It just kind of like livens it up a little bit.
It definitely does. It's a really pretty touch, especially for like somebody that wants to do more, but they don't want the shine of like a silver beading or even like a clear beading, because it does shine as well, or like rhinestones or anything like that. The pearls are beautiful. I mean, the whole look, gorgeous. I really can't stress that enough with each of these people that I have on my list and you have on your list. These people were gorgeous on their wedding day. Everybody's gorgeous on their wedding day, Yeah. But that seam really got me. That seam really, really got me. I was like, why did they go and just put a seam straight through the middle like that? Like,
yeah, I kind of dig it.
But see, it's objective, or it's just kind of like what you're into, and I think she probably liked it too. She was like, yeah, I'm rocking with this seam.
Absolutely. I mean,
Imani,
it's such an essential part of the dress. If you didn't like it, you would have them redo the body.
Yeah, ASAP. Exactly. You would have to.
Like that's a detail that is planned out and that's thought out thoroughly. It wasn't just like, oh, there's a seam down the center of my dress.
Definitely. So, that's my number 8.
All right. So moving on to number 7. I have Princess Eugene, who just recently got married, I believe in 2018. She had two dresses. And the dress that I want to talk about is her second dress, but I'll briefly touch on the first dress. So for the first dress, it was a silk ball gown, long sleeve ball gown. And it was designed by British fashion designer Peter Paletto and Christopher DeVos of the British-based label Peter Paletto. If I'm messing up that name, it's because I'm not too familiar with this designer. And the cool thing about both of her dresses that I absolutely loved is she has a scoliosis scar on her back from having scoliosis surgery as a child. And she really wanted to show that off. So both dresses were open back to showcase her scar, which I thought was really, really awesome. A lot of times you do see, brides wanting to hide something. And I really like it when you just kind of embrace it because that makes you who you are. Mm-hmm. And her tiara was gifted to her by the Queen, which the Queen does for all of them. And I should have looked this up. I think it was the tiara that the Queen wore for her wedding. I want to say that that's true. If it's wrong, we can cut this out because that's a pretty big fact to mess up. Yes. But I'm pretty sure that the tiara was the same tiara that the Queen wore for her wedding, which is really cool. So her second dress, which I am absolutely obsessed with, and it would be higher on my list because I love it so much, but it's number 7 because it's not technically her wedding dress. It was her reception dress. It was designed by Zach Posen. It's a silk. It's silk with a plunging back, and then it just has all these really beautiful drapings. And what makes it so special is the way it's ruched. So it's all ruched throughout the bodice. Really hugs her body beautifully, cinches in at the waist, and it kind of has that slight princess V in the front. Mm-hmm. Not really extreme, but it's there. Mm-hmm. And then I love the kind of, so it's so hard to explain because there's so much detail in this, but the top of it has this kind of fold in the shoulder. I just absolutely love this. And the silk has this sheen to it that is so beautiful. And you can tell by all the pictures, the movement must have been stunning. Mm-hmm. Just the way it's captured in photos. I mean, and the sheen, it's so beautiful. I would wear this every day, 10 out of 10. I am obsessed.
It is gorgeous.
And the color looks so great with her complexion too. It's like this soft champagne rose gold. Mm-hmm. The second I saw this dress, I fell in love with it. I would love to have this gown.
This dress is pretty insane. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm actually obsessed with this.
Yeah,
this is gorgeous. Like, there's truly, I don't think I've ever seen a dress like this.
I haven't either. It's the way it hugs her chest too, that just. The fit is spectacular.
Definitely. And I feel like you get that with a lot of fashion houses or any of these, high fashion designers, is they do weddings so beautifully because they just do things that you wouldn't
expect. Yeah.
Yes. You couldn't walk into a bridal salon and see something like that because it's not traditional, but it is. It's a very,
her body looks
gorgeous in it.
Like I didn't realize she had such an awesome figure. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of where, I don't want to say that her first dress kind of missed the mark, but it didn't show off her figure. This is still very, very reserved and still very conservative, but it shows off her slim waist. Very similar to how Kate Middleton's dress showed off her figure, mm-hmm. without overtly trying to show off her figure. Mm-hmm. It was the same kind of fit.
Yes, definitely. It's gorgeous.
Who do you have for your number 7? So
my number 7 is Kate Upton. She wore a Valentino long sleeve ball gown with a high neckline and some delicate lace detail when she married Justin Verlander, who is a baseball player. Mm-hmm. Her dress is gorgeous. To me, the only reason it wasn't higher on my list was number 1. I feel like I've seen this dress a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I feel like, obviously, if we're talking about celebrity weddings, I want to see something I haven't seen before. It also, similar to how we were talking about with Carly
I was
Kloss.
about to mention that too. Yeah.
It's very, very harsh on top with how they separated where the lace and applique is and the lined bodice. It's got like a really beautiful V neckline to it too, similar to Carly Kloss's, but she has a deeper neckline on her dress than Carly Kloss did. So I feel like it almost makes it a little bit better because it's kind of like, oh, well, this is a sexier,
It's not so sweet.
but yeah, it's not so sweet because it was like, this is a sexier neckline. It's a little more exposed. So we're going to put something on top of it to kind of cover it a little bit. So we're still staying very classy, very elegant, you know? So I think it makes it a little bit better. Carly Kloss had a higher neckline. So I'm like, what is the point of what was the point of doing that? Yeah. But I kind of see where she would have done that on her dress.
I think though too, the reason why, because I love a long sleeve dress, I don't have her on my list because I don't think the lace neckline and the bust line, I don't think they match, you know? So the lace comes up around her neck and it's a very sparse kind of lace. It's not a very heavy lace. So it's like, you know, if you wanted to have something more modest, then go more modest. If you wanted to have something more sexy, go more sexy. I don't think the two go together. Like, it's not a very cohesive look in my opinion. And I think that if she wanted to keep that high lace neckline and be more modest, she would have to raise the bust line a little bit more. But if she wants to leave the bust line the way it is, I think that then the lace should have been V'd down to match it or something along those lines.
Yes.
Not come all the way up and not have that harsh line or circling around the neck.
Yes.
I just don't think it matches. What I do love though is the very obvious corseted bodice. I mean, her waist is snatched.
Absolutely.
We know she's got a great body, but she looks, I mean, the way that it's hugging her waist really is spectacular.
Yes. And you know what? To balance it out a little bit, her reception dress was pretty crazy. I don't have it on my list because I just don't, I don't think that it is my favorite, but it was so beautiful on her. It was like a fully embellished, kind of see-through, very sheer dress. It had like a beautiful drape that went across the front, right?
Stunning.
Isn't that cool? So it was like a completely different look. So I mean, I understand again the high neckline. She is a lingerie swimsuit model primarily. So I do understand her wanting to do something more elegant, more classy for her wedding. But if you're going to do that,
do it completely.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
that's
if you're going to do it, you got to invest
exactly.
All in it.
That V neckline was that V neckline. I don't know if I really like that either. So, but other than that, the dress fit her beautifully, absolutely beautifully. Yeah. So for that, she was my number 7. Number
Fabulous.
6.
So for my number 6, I have Victoria Beckham.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is, I think, one of the only not long sleeve ball gowns I have. It's a ball gown, but it's not long sleeve ball gown. So Victoria Beckham married David Beckham in 1999 in a custom Vera Wang. And it was taffeta.
It was satin.
Satin, that's right. Okay,
Satin
was it Duchess satin? Let me pull it up.
It was Duchess satin.
And in a Duchess satin ball gown that really, I loved the neckline, the scoop neckline with the points. So stunning. And the way it hugged her waist and then kind of flared out, and the color. She did a champagne wedding dress before people were doing champagne wedding dresses. It fit her personality, so posh, so chic. And I know you have this higher on your list too.
Yes.
What I love about it is no matter what year it is, that wedding dress is still relevant. And it truly has stood the test of time. I don't care what year between 1999 and 2020, so the last night, what is that, 21 years? You could have gotten married in that wedding dress. Either one, in any of those years. And it would have been right on point. I mean, she truly looks like a Barbie doll. I mean, she always looks like a Barbie doll, but this looks like bride Barbie.
She was beautiful. She's been beautiful. Yeah.
But can we talk about that bouquet for a minute? Are those apples?
Probably. Let me pull up my picture for her.
Is that those? Am I crazy or are those apples?
Yeah, those look like apples.
Yeah. I mean, her bouquet looks like she went out into the garden and just like picked a bunch of stuff, and
she ripped a bush off
out of the ground.
She said, "This'll do."
I'm here for it. I am here for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it works. It really does.
It's her. It's very her. You know, so I think that the whole thing came together. She looks like a queen. She looks like she deserved one of Queen Elizabeth's crowns.
Did she wear a crown? Didn't she wear a crown?
She wore a crown, but her crown was like a little baby crown. It was so cute.
It's so cute.
It's just like sitting on her head. I love that. My number 6 is Marilyn Monroe when she married Arthur Miller in an empire waist sheath gown with a ruched sleeve. It's got kind of like this peasant neckline. It's just really pretty. It's on my list because it's pretty. Like, it's just, I don't have much to say about it other than it's very pretty. It fit Marilyn Monroe so well. The look, this look to me, she wore like a little veil, like a little shoulder length veil. This look to me is kind of like what I tell brides they want to strive for, meaning effortless. And you look at her whole look. You look at her face, you look at her hair, you look at her dress, you look at her accessories, and you're like, she looks like a beautiful bride.
She just looks so happy.
Yes.
She looks so happy. I love the sleeves. I love the gloves. I love the minimal makeup, because once again, she was kind of a sex symbol. She was this kind of like very sexualized icon of the time. And for her to do something so minimalistic and so simplistic, it really does kind of like, you see her and her natural beauty. You're not looking at her body. You're not, she looks so happy and free. And it's a look that we're not really used to seeing on her.
Yes, definitely. And I think the thing with Marilyn that is almost kind of tragic, and I hate to say it, but Marilyn was kind of a hopeless romantic. She had been married many times. Yes. And not many, I think it was like 5. She'd been married about 5 times, I want to say. And she just, obviously we know that she had her struggles and everything towards the end of her life. But she just loved love.
Yeah.
From what people say about her.
And here you really see that.
You see it
on her face. You see just how happy she is.
Yes, because I believe this was her last marriage before she unfortunately passed away. So I think that this last one, she was just like, love, we're going to try it again, you know?
Can we bring back gloves, please?
I'm going to say no on that one.
No?
But...
I see. But bring back the gloves. I love the gloves.
Well, I need to have some long nails, and I can't do it in the gloves. So I'm gonna go longer.
Poke through the gloves
like this. Hey,
yeah, I'm all about bringing back the gloves. Well, one of the other things too from that you had mentioned when we filmed this. Guys, you keep saying filmed. I swear to God, I think I'm a television star. When we recorded this before, you had mentioned that it reminded you of something that your grandmother would wear.
Yes,
and I really, really loved that, because it's like very sentimental, and it kind of puts it in perspective for everyone listening too. It's the simplicity of it, and it fit that time.
And you know what? On that note, I'm so happy you brought that up. I actually, after this, I went back and I looked at my grandma.
I did too.
Yes, my grandma's wedding dress. And then I just kind of like looked at my grandma as like a young woman, like in her early 20s, kind of like around that time. And I don't know if I'll pull up the picture for you and show you the picture I saw that just reminded me of that look and why that stuck out so much to me. But I saw that. I really did see that. And I was like, ugh, how stinking cute. And my grandma made all of her own clothes. My grandma made everything she wore. And that was one of the things she said, like, I didn't have anybody to make my wedding gown, so my grandma, she took so much pride in that look. And part of her accessories was the happiness of it all, because she didn't have access to the things to give her these grand dresses, Sure. Yep. It was like, you did have to have happiness as your accessory.
I actually have a picture of my grandmother's wedding dress. Do you want to see it?
Yes, of course. I love grandmas.
Okay. Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Wow. She probably loves that dress.
Oh my God, isn't it stunning?
It is stunning with her gloves.
Okay, I know this isn't what you guys came here to hear about my my grandmother's wedding dress, but it's like kind of on point with what we're talking about. It was typical ball gown dress from, I believe they got married in like, let's see, 59. It had little cap sleeves, came up around the neck, had kind of like a scallop trim around the neck, scallop edging at the bottom, gloves, tiara. I mean, the whole thing. And she still has her tiara, and me and my sister used to play dress up with it.
Oh my gosh, how cute is
Isn't
that? That is so cute.
Yeah, so a little shout out to my grandmother.
Shout out to Granny. And shout out to my granny as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go so deep in here to find that photo.
You'll have to find it, and you can show me later.
I'll show you later because it is so stinking cute.
See it.
And it's if you listen to our plus size episode, of course, I know that you guys didn't come here for this, but if you listen to our plus size episode, I talked about kind of my size and what I look like. So I am over 6 feet, and I am plus size woman, obviously size 18. My grandma is 5'2". She is a size 2. So I just think she was so cute. She really did remind me of how Marilyn looked. So our little tangent about our grandmothers, but who doesn't like to hear about grandmothers?
That was cute though. I really liked that.
Yes, I love to hear about people's grandmothers. So you know what? Actually, super exciting. I want to do this. If you guys are listening to this right now and you have pictures of your grandmothers,
yes,
send them in,
and then we'll put ours on the Instagram.
Yes, we'll put them on the Instagram because I just I just love
and
the
looking
grandmas.
at pictures, of grandparents and just weddings from the 50s and 60s. It's just so cool.
It is. A lot of these people we have on our list are from that time period.
Yeah.
50s, 60s, 70s. I love to see them.
We're going back in time.
We're going back. I mean, my grandma got married in the 30s. So I want to see anything you have. If you have great grandparents, grandparents, if your parents are just older and we're getting married during that time, we've seen 80s dresses all day, so don't send us any of those. but if you have anything we would love to see, we will definitely post them on the Instagram for everybody to see how beautiful all your grandmothers were. Look.
I love that so much.
Yes. So anyway,
should we get back into it?
Let's get back into what we've been here for.
All
What
right.
we got here for.
We're halfway through. We're at number 5.
Yes, number 5.
Number 5. So for my number 5, of course, I have Jackie Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love it. So Jackie Kennedy got married to John F. Kennedy, on September 12th, 1953 in Newport, Rhode Island. She wore a full skirted taffeta gown, a silk taffeta gown with a portrait neckline and off the shoulder, designed by Anne Lowe, who created gowns for some of the wealthiest families in America at the time. So the gown featured over 50 yards of silk taffeta. And actually, something that's really crazy about this, when the gown was in the final touch-up phase, right? It was almost done. There was a pipe burst in Anne's workroom, and the dress was ruined. So she had to kind of hire new seamstresses come, and in the last week or two had to put together a brand new dress, and she lost $2,000 having to recreate this, which in 1954, I should have done the calculation. 1953, I mean, $2,000 I would assume would be what, $4,000 or $5,000 today, possibly more.
Probably, yeah. With inflation, I would say so probably
a lot of money she lost. And she wore her grandmother's veil, kind of piggybacking off our grandmother talk. She did wear her grandmother's veil, which is always a sweet gesture. We have brides that come in who, will bring in their mothers, and I've seen even grandmother's veils come in, and it just really touches me. And I think it's so beautiful if you have something that is that special, being able to incorporate it into your wedding is really awesome. And another fun fact about the gown, it wasn't what she originally envisioned, but Joe Kennedy, John's father, did not approve of her original design. So kind of like you were saying about Beyonce, she didn't really care that much for her wedding dress. She wanted what she wanted, but it did not get approved by her future father-in-law. Can you imagine?
That would be tragic for my future father-in-law because I would tell him that I do not care.
Yeah.
I would be like, wait a second. No.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that was fascinating that
Yes.
it wasn't, it wasn't what she originally wanted. And this gown, it's so much taffeta. It's really well done. So the bodice of it, so I kind of explained this. It looks like it's like kind of like rippled taffeta down the front. So the bottom of it has layered taffeta that looks like ruffles, and then it has these ruffled kind of circle patterns in the middle of the skirt. It's really lovely.
Yes, it's a beautiful dress, and it is very unique in the skirt, especially for the time period. I feel like that wasn't something that you would see a lot. You would kind of just typically see, either lace or just taffeta, or for that. It was gorgeous. I love her dress. I don't understand why maybe that wasn't her first choice. It was beautiful. And that veil, oh my goodness.
Yeah, the veil, I mean, it's all lace.
The veil is gorgeous. Overall, I mean, she just looked so beautiful on her wedding day.
Yeah.
And I think the dress was done great. And actually, Waters did make a dress that looks very similar.
Very similar, yep.
It is tulle.
Yeah.
But
it has that skirt pattern.
And it even has that little bit of ruching through the bodice.
Yeah.
So if you like Jackie O's dress, then check out Waters for that dress because it's pretty spot on in terms of a modern recreation of it. Yeah, definitely.
What do you got for your number 5?
My number 5 is Samira Wiley, who is a actress, most known for her role as Poussey in Orange is the New Black, which if you watch Orange is the New Black, you'll know that she was the best character without a doubt. It's all over the blogs, everywhere. She was so cool. But yes, she married her wife, Lauren Morelli, who she met because Lauren Morelli was a writer on Orange is the New Black. Super cute.
I like that story.
Yes. So she met, or she was a producer. She worked on Orange is the New Black like very closely with the actors. So they met, and she wore a off-the-shoulder empire-waisted ball gown that actually coordinated with Lauren Morelli's embellished jumpsuit.
So, these two looks, I mean, one-on-one, are out of this world. But the combo, it's like the ultimate power couple look.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, and what I love about it too, they're both so feminine.
Yes.
Both looks are so feminine but also so different and so cohesive in their own right.
Yes. And you know what is so cool about that too is they actually got married in Palm Springs and their wedding theme was confetti.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Wait, do you have a picture of that?
Yes, I do. It was done so well.
I love the idea of a confetti-themed wedding.
So this is them together in Palm Springs.
I mean, come on.
Look at all
it's
of
a two-piece.
that.
Her dress is a two-piece?
Yes.
I did not know that.
And then she took the full skirt off for a slimmer skirt during the reception so she could dance with Lauren.
And then Lauren took the cape off.
Yes, Lauren was wearing a cape. Their dress was designed by who else? Christian Siriano.
Okay. Yes. Love it.
Yes. So I love their whole vibe of what they did for their wedding. Just what a fun way.
I can't get over a confetti themed wedding.
Yeah,
and it really can't.
If you look all through here, we're all looking at pictures and you guys can't see them.
Yeah. But these pictures are amazing.
Yes, you look through all of them and it's you would think confetti, how did they do that? But
just bright pastel colors
everywhere.
Which also is perfect for Palm Springs.
Yes. Oh my gosh, how happy do they look? Stop it. Stop it right now. Oh, I love them.
Yeah, that's just...
They had my dream wedding.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. That's the wedding I didn't even realize I needed.
Exactly. So she's my number 5. I think the dress complemented her so well. Anything that Christian Serrano?
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian Serrano makes is gorgeous. Like, he dresses women so well.
Yeah,
I feel like he is such an underrated designer. I don't think that he really has a bridal line, but I know just in general, anytime I see any of his work on anybody, he always knows how to capture the personality of who he's dressing and how to just make them look so just breathtakingly beautiful. So that takes us to number 4.
Number 4. So for number 4, I am so excited about this one. For number 4, I have Elizabeth Taylor.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about 2 out of her 8 wedding looks. Because, you know, she was married 8 times to 7 different men. So she married the same person twice.
Another hopeless romantic.
Yeah, another hopeless romantic. So I'm going to talk about her first and her 4th look, okay? So for her first look, it was designed by Helen Rose, who was the costume designer for MGM at the time. She was married in 1950. Helen Rose would later, 6 years to be exact, design Grace Kelly's wedding dress, which, I mean, come on. Obviously, I'm going to talk about that. And I'll hear in a little bit. So in 1950, she married Conrad. Is it Conrad or Conrad?
Conrad.
Okay.
Conrad Hilton.
Yeah. Okay. Can we cut that out, please? So
Yes.
I don't know what
Yes.
Okay, so in 1950, she married Conrad Hilton. You can tell that it was designed by the same person who designed Grace Kelly's dress. It's very similar, not as grand. It's a silk material. It's a satin material. It has this really beautiful kind of really soft sweetheart neckline, princess cut waist, and then the lace goes up around the neck, but it's a very soft, very, very soft lace. And there's lace detailing throughout. And then, of course, you know, the tulle veil. Absolutely stunning. What I love about this, I'm not too particularly fond of the dress. I just love that Helen Rose then goes on to design Grace Kelly's wedding dress, and you can see the resemblance between the two.
Yes.
What I love most is her dress number 4 when she married Eddie Fisher, May 12th, 1959. This dress, it's more like an evening gown, also tea-length, kind of like Audrey Hepburn's. It looks like it's chiffon and like a charmeuse. It's long sleeve, has kind of a sweetheart neckline. And then she wore this beautiful cape. I mean, Imani, look at this. And then also the green shoes to match.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yes, we love the jewel tones.
I am so obsessed with this look. I love the monochromatic, like head to toe, all this olive green, the olive green belt. I mean, I want this. I want to wear this. I want to live in this. Like, I just absolutely love this look. And then also she did it like you know, a lot of greens in her bouquet. So it's so cohesive, and it goes with her complexion, her eyes, her hair, everything. All of her features just pop.
Yes, when you look at like the up close picture of her face, like within the little cape and with the dress, it's crazy. She
looks absolutely
like
stunning.
her eyes, her makeup, everything is just so beautiful, so chic. Yes, that was a really good one. I mean, and Elizabeth, the first dress, I think was gorgeous too. The only thing I didn't really like was that harsh transition between the neckline that we've talked about with a couple of these other dresses.
But this was also, and she also did like kind of the off the shoulder look.
Yes,
which was which wasn't. It was kind of I would assume a little sexy for the time. But that was Elizabeth Taylor.
That was Elizabeth Taylor. So, I mean, just that she can do no wrong.
Oh, and Eddie Fisher, when he proposed, instead of proposing with a ring, he proposed with a 40-carat engagement bracelet.
That is our new request.
Yeah.
That is our new request.
I guess when you've had 4 engagement rings, you know, it kind of gets old after a while.
She was like, try something new.
She went on to have, you know, like 3 more. So.
Yes. I mean.
So the engagement bracelet kind of broke it up there in the middle.
Yes. The engagement bracelet. Wow. I wouldn't have given that back if I was her. I hope she kept it. Yeah. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor is beautiful. Like, all 8 of her looks. Of course, an icon. So number 4 for me is Victoria Beckham, which we had talked about earlier. So I'm just going to go over the quick points since we already know what was going on with her wedding. But she wore a $100,000 Vera Wang, one of the most expensive wedding dresses in celebrity history.
That is so wild to me.
$100,000 is what Vera Wang charged for that dress.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
question for you.
Yes.
Do you think that dress is worth $100,000? And be honest.
Yes.
You do? You're a crazy person.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because the only reason I think it's worth $100,000, I think sometimes we get lost.
You know that's the $100,000 bills, right?
Yes. I also know that it is 200,000 50-cent pieces, and it is 400,000 quarters.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
so, it's a lot of money.
Yes. I also know it's 1,000,000 pennies if we want to go there.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that that dress is worth $100,000 because I think it's hard a lot of times for us with money to pull ourselves out of it. Do I have $100,000 to spend on a wedding dress? 100% no. So when I think like that, nothing's worth $100,000 to me.
That's true. That's
right?
true. Yeah, and we got to put it in perspective.
Exactly. So when you don't think like that and you're just looking off of the construction of the gown, the way it fits, the material, Duchess satin is very expensive.
It's very expensive, yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's $100,000 worth, but I know that she used like 80 yards of it. It was crazy how much Duchess satin she used. And materials can be $800 a yard sometimes. Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm sure it even goes up from there, but materials can be expensive. I mean, Mark Zanino talked about some of his materials that he uses and how expensive they are. Like, I can only imagine how it goes, but the construction of the gown, and then, of course, you have to factor in the fact that Vera Wang is a well-known bridal name.
Oh, yeah,
and you're going to pay for the name. But just the way that gown fit her. And satin is really hard sometimes because you get those, again, something I talked about with Betsy, you get those little creases all over it, right? There's none. Where are they? They don't exist.
No, it's all the seams.
Exactly. Exactly.
I definitely think that it's worth a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I think that dress is worth a lot of zeros. But just trying to justify $100,000, I mean,
I can't justify it. I don't have it. I would have had to have financed that dress.
We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be sitting here.
Exactly. If I had that money, my podcast would not be with Mona Me.
And we wouldn't be sitting in a closet.
We would not be. This is called my office. It also goes by my office, but that should tell you my office wouldn't be closet sized if we had $100,000.
There we go. Decent point there.
Exactly. So I mean, I think it does have to be put in perspective. But wow, that dress was insane, and the whole wedding. I also loved David Beckham's look.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
he had what did he have? The frosted tips on his hair.
Tips, yeah.
He had the frosted tips. He also wore his coat had like floor length tails, and he wore white.
Yeah, he wore white.
White. I think he wore white shoes too. Their wedding pictures are so funny. When you look at them together, you're just like, these two people are some of the most extra people that like ever. Just so funny. And the wedding was, I believe it was 1997? 99. It was 1999. So, I mean, very fitting for who they were though. They were both in, they weren't both. Victoria Beckham Posh was in Spice Girls, and David Beckham was a soccer player, which still is one of the biggest sports. Actually, I think it is the biggest sport in Europe. And he was over there playing soccer. So he was a huge star. Yeah. She was a huge star. You knew they were going to really blow it out on their wedding. So it makes sense. But those pictures are so funny. They're so funny with his floor-length tails. I think it's hilarious.
Okay, moving on.
We are moving on.
All right, let's do it. So coming in at number 3, I have Miranda Kerr. We already kind of talked about her, so I'll make this kind of quick. But yeah, she has said multiple times that her inspiration was Grace Kelly, which is very apparent in this gown. And I love the 3D element of the flowers. I think it makes it very modern, and the sheen of the satin. It's so glamorous. But yet so like sophisticated and classic. One of the things when I was reading up about this dress and about this, her wedding in general, as I said, she got married in her backyard, 45 people. The morning of her wedding, she was throwing a chicken, like roasting a chicken for her husband. Like she was cooking.
Miranda Kerr?
Yeah. And then the caterers, she was cooking just for her husband, and then the caterers replicated that meal for the guest, but she cooked the meal for her and her husband to eat.
Oh my gosh. That's
cool?
So cute.
I know. And I just want to touch on this again. Ladies, you do not have to match your dress to your venue. If you're getting married in your backyard, you can still be fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to dress down. You could still wear, that beautiful ball gown if you want to. Just I wouldn't recommend doing, a giant tiara. And, I wouldn't go full princess, but still wear the dress.
Wear the dress.
Yeah.
And the way her wedding was done too, I mean, her backyard was beautiful. Like it wasn't like she got married and her grass was dead.
I'd imagine that they're living in a pretty nice place.
Flowers everywhere.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. But
and very tasteful.
Very, very tasteful. So
I just want to touch.
So my number 3 is Cher. This was the dress when she married Greg Allman of the Allman Brothers Band. I believe this was her first marriage. They don't know who the designer is of the dress. They think it's Bob Mackie who designed some of her costumes. Actually, he designed most of her costumes. So the rumor around town is that it is Bob Mackie. It was a sheath dress with a peasant style neckline and these like really pretty lace panels that went all down the dress. It had a deep V. It was like a lace up deep V, and it was just so gorgeous. It fit her so well, and it was very different from what she traditionally does. So overall, it was just a completely different look. And it was so beautiful. So number 3, I love her dress. It would definitely be my number 1 if my number 1 did not exist. So, so Megan, what is your number 2?
All right. So for me, I have Kate Middleton at number 2, which is no surprise. Kate Middleton married Prince William on April 29th, 2011. The Victorian-inspired gown was designed by Sarah Burton at Alexander McQueen and featured almost a 9-foot train, and all of that lace was done by hand. You can't really tell in pictures, but the entire gown is lace. All of it is lace. It is absolutely stunning if you can see a really close-up detailed picture of it. And Imani, do you want to guess how much money this dress cost?
I don't know.
$434,000. The total wedding was $36 million, $32 million of which went to security alone. So I guess, it's a hefty price tag when you marry the future king of England.
Wow.
I know, right? And who do you have for your number 2?
So my number 2 is none other than Queen Bee again. She is making her second appearance on my top 10 list with her Galia Le Havre off the shoulder, slim fitted silhouette. It had these billowing sleeves, embroidery all throughout, beading and pearls. And it was truly just, the dress looks like it was made for her, but funny enough, it actually is available to the public. So you could walk into a store and buy this Galia Le Havre dress if you want to wear the same dress as Beyonce. It was inspired by Queen Victoria, and it was just perfect for her. And I'm really glad she talked about how much she loved it. And I'm glad that she got to get married, not get married again, but I'm glad she got to do her vow renewal in a dress she loved, because as I had talked before, she wasn't super happy looking back on the dress that she got married in. So it was perfect. And I believe she did film like a music video she didn't film the music video at the vow renewal, but she did use some of the footage from the vow renewal for one of her newer music videos. So, and it's beautiful. She had her twins. Ugh, I could talk about her all day.
I love that so much. Yeah, I love too that for Beyonce's dress, you know, you can just go into any Galila Huff store and you can buy it. You can just ask them, you know, for Beyonce's vow renewal gown, and it's right there on the shelf with everything else. No customizations were made to it, which I think is really awesome. All right. Are we at number 1?
We're at number 1.
Drum roll. Okay, so for my number 1, I have none other than Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly is my style icon for, you know, my everyday style and also for, you know, my future wedding look. So as I mentioned before, it was designed by MGM costume designer Helen Rose, and MGM gifted her the gown. She married Prince Rainier III of Monaco in 1956, and the dress broke down into 10 parts. The studio department created this kind of fairy tale princess look piece by piece. The lace bodice came with a slip, a skirt support, and an underbodice. And then there was the foundation, the petticoats, and then the train insert and the silk file cummerbund kind of completed the look. It's just absolutely stunning. It required over 400 yards of fabric. There was so much detail in the lace too, which is hard to tell in pictures, but the lace was all hand done. And I believe the lace itself was 125 years old. And then it was all hand embellished. Another really interesting fact about the wedding in general is that Prince Rainier, he paid MGM, I think it was, I don't know if this is correct, but either $2 or $3 million to get her out of her contract with MGM, so she didn't have to be an actress anymore. Another fun fact was that before the ceremony that we all see with this beautiful gown, there was a civil ceremony the night before, and she wore a beautiful lace pink, like kind of suit piece with a skirt and a jacket. And then after the civil ceremony, they had a reception where all of the civilians of Monaco were invited so they could all shake hands with the new princess.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? So I think it's just really special. And another thing too that I wanted to mention was the veil. So, no, I'm sorry. Wait, let me go back. He didn't pay them. He allowed MGM to broadcast it across the globe to get her out of her contract. So should I do that over again? I can cut that. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. So Prince Rainier, he didn't pay MGM money. It was, he allowed them to broadcast it. So it was the very first royal wedding that was broadcasted across the world. And because of this, and that was to get her out of her contract. And because of this, she needed a veil that was so sheer when it covered her face that people would still be able to see her face. So there was a very special veil that was involved so that all of these people across the world that were watching would be able to see the princess's face, which I think was really cool. So now thanks to Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier, all royal weddings are broadcasted.
Wow. Well, yeah, thanks to them, because we all get to see we get to see the magic behind all the royal weddings. We can be like, we're there, you know? Okay, so my number 1 is Ciara when she married football player Russell Wilson. They got married at a castle in England, okay? And she wore a Roberto Cavalli low-cut sweetheart neckline, wing sleeve, fitted silhouette gown, and it had this very dramatic overskirt and veil to match. And this dress is just unbelievable. It was so beautiful, complimented her so well. One of those looks again where everything just really came together. I mean, the dress, it truly looked like the absolute perfect thing for her to wear. And I mean, she's already so beautiful, but just like the combination of everything, like as a bride, oh my goodness. Ciara was top notch. I love her look. I'll talk about her look all day. It was modern. It was still chic. It had a little bit of a boho vibe to it. It really kind of checked all the boxes for me. So that's why she's my number 1. I loved it. So
Yeah, her dress was absolutely incredible. The sleeves I think are my favorite part. I love that wide sleeve. I think it looks so stunning, and it was so fitting for her personality too. Yeah, 10 out of 10.
So that takes us to the finish point here. Megan, thank you so much for coming on. It was so fun talking about all these celebrities with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I can't wait to come back for another one.
Of course. If you guys liked this episode, if you love our podcast, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Also, you can find us on social media at Mon Ami Bridal Salon on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok, really everything at Mon Ami Bridal Salon. So make sure you show us some love on there. And if you really, really, really love us, go ahead and give us a rating here in the App Store, or not the App Store, the Apple Podcast. Give us a rating in the Apple Podcasts. And stay tuned. We'll be back next Friday with a new one.